Rosi Braidotti was born in Italy and grew up in Australia. She wrote her PhD in France and now lives in the Netherlands. She speaks many languages and has no single mother tongue. This personal history is not just a history, it is the starting point for her philosophy. Braidotti believes that where you speak from matters. Your location shapes what you can know. Your body, your history, and your language all affect your thinking. Most philosophers pretend to speak from nowhere. They claim to be neutral, universal, and objective. Braidotti says this is a lie. There is no view from nowhere. All knowledge is situated and it comes from a specific body, a specific place, and a specific time. Western philosophy has a problem. It has built everything around a single universal subject. The subject is called man. But this man is not really universal. He has a very specific face. He is male, white, heterosexual, middle class, and able bodied. He speaks a standard language and lives in a Western society. This subject pretends to represent all of humanity, but he only represents himself. Everyone else is another. Women are the other of man, black people are the other of white, colonized people are the other of the colonizer. This system of thinking is called phallogocentrism. Phallo refers to the phallus, it means male centered. Logos refers to reason and speech. Centrism means putting one thing at the center. Phallogocentrism is the belief that the male rational subject is the center of everything. This system works through dualistic oppositions. These are pairs of opposites that are ranked hierarchically. One side is good, the other is bad. One side is normal, the other is deviant. Here are some examples. Man is to woman as culture is to nature. Man is to woman as reason is to emotion. Man is to woman as mind is to body. Man is to woman as active is to passive. In each pair, the first term is valued, the second term is devalued. Woman is always on the negative side. She is nature, emotion, body, and passivity. She is the other and the lack. She is a deviation from the male norm. This is not just a philosophical game, it has real consequences. Women have been excluded from education, from politics, and from intellectual life. They have been told that they are too emotional to think. They have been told their bodies are a burden. Today, this old system is falling apart. Some people call this postmodernism, others call it post structuralism. Whatever you call it, the old universal subject is in crisis. For many men, this crisis is terrifying, they feel lost, and all certainties are gone. They mourn the death of man. But Braidotti sees things differently. She says, Mors tua vita mea. This is Latin. It means, your death is my life. The crisis of the male subject is the opening for the female subject. For women who were never fully included, the breakdown of the old system is not a loss, it is a liberation. It creates space for new voices, new bodies, and new ways of thinking. This is the key insight. The very conditions that dominant subjects see as a crisis or for marginalized subjects an opportunity. What is a problem for men is a possibility for women. We cannot just criticize the old system. We must also create images. Braidotti calls these new images figurations. A figuration is a politically informed image. It is a myth. It is a story we tell to imagine a different way of being. It is not a blueprint, it is a starting point. Other feminists have created their own figurations. Haraway created the cyborg. The cyborg is a hybrid of human and machine. It blurs the boundaries between nature and culture. It is a figure for a post human future. Luz Irigaray created the image of the two lips. The two lips of the female sex touch each other. They are closed but not closed. This is a figure for a different kind of relationship. It is not based on separation and penetration. It is based on proximity and touch. Monique Wittig chose the lesbian. For Wittig, a lesbian is not a woman. Woman is a category created by patriarchy. The lesbian escapes that category entirely. She is a figure for radical otherness. Braidotti chooses the nomad. The nomad is her own figuration. It is based on her own life experience. It is a figure for a subject who is always in motion, always in transition, and always resisting fixed identities. When we hear the word nomad, we think of people wandering in the desert. We think of gypsies, Turaks, and Bedouins. But Braidotti is not using the word literally. The nomad is not a tourist. A tourist travels for pleasure. She follows a planned route. She always returns home. The nomad does not have a home to return to. The nomad is not an exile. An exile has been forced to leave home. She longs to return. She mourns her lost homeland. The nomad does not mourn. She has no nostalgia for a lost origin. The nomad is not a migrant. A migrant moves one place to another for a clear purpose. She wants to find work or safety. She has a destination. The nomad has no final destination. The journey itself is what matters. So, what is a nomad? A nomad is a critical consciousness. It is a way of thinking, not a way of traveling. It is the refusal to settle into any fixed identity. It is the ability to pass through different positions without becoming attached to any of them. You can be a nomad without ever leaving your house. The greatest trips can take place without physical movement. Nomadism is about subverting conventions. It is about resisting the pressure to be one stable thing. The nomad does not have a passport, or she has too many. She is not at home anywhere, but she is also not homeless. She carries her home with her. She can recreate a home base anywhere. Her identity is not a fixed essence, it is a map of where she has already been. It is a retrospective inventory of traces. She can look back and see where she has traveled, but she cannot predict where she will go next. This brings to a key idea. Braidotti calls it the philosophy of as if. We act as if we were multiple. We act as if boundaries were fluid. We act as if identities were temporary. This is not pretending, it is a political strategy. It is a way of opening up spaces where new forms of agency can emerge. By performing different identities, we expose the illusion of fixed identity. We show that what seems natural is actually constructed. The danger is that this can become empty play. Repetition alone is not subversive. Parody alone is not political. What matters is the critical consciousness behind the performance. You must act as if in order to create change, not just to entertain. Laurie Anderson is a performance artist that Braidotti admires. Anderson says it is not the bullet that kills you, but the hole. This is a nomadic statement. It reverses cause and effect. It blurs the boundary between inside and outside. This is what nomadic thinking does. It turns things inside out. It confuses categories. Braidotti respects many male philosophers. She learned from Michel Foucault and Gilles Deleuze. But she also criticizes them. Their work is powerful, but it has blind spots. The biggest blind spot is gender. Let us start with Deleuze. Deleuze has a famous concept called becoming woman. He argues that we should all become women to escape rigid identities. For Deleuze, woman is not a real woman. It is a metaphor for a fluid minority position. All becoming passes through becoming woman. It is the first step. This sounds progressive, but Braidotti has serious problems with it. First, Deleuze is inconsistent. He says that women must win back their own history, but then he says this is dangerous. It may dry up the flow of becoming. He knows what women want, but still says no. Second, Deleuze treats sexual difference as just one difference among many. For feminists, sexual difference is fundamental. You cannot dissolve it into a general becoming. That erases the specific history of women's oppression. Third, Deleuze assumes symmetry between the sexes. He thinks men and women can both become women in the same way, but they cannot. Men have never been trapped in the female body. Their starting point is completely different. Braidotti asks a sharp question: how can a philosopher of Deleuze's subtlety miss this? Her answer is simple. He is located elsewhere. He is close enough to see the feminist project, but he is distant enough to avoid its demands. Location matters. What you see depends on where you stand. Many feminists reject essentialism. Essentialism is the belief that there is a fixed, unchanging essence of woman. Critics say it ignores differences among women, it assumes all women are the same. Braidotti disagrees. Essentialism is a necessary strategy. First, essentialism and determinism are not the same. Determinism says that biology is destiny. Essentialism can be a strategic claim, not a metaphysical truth. Saying, I am a woman is a political act. It is claiming a place from where to speak. Second, you cannot deconstruct a subjectivity you never had. Before women can give up the category woman, they must first possess it. They must become subjects in their own right. You cannot skip this step. Third, sexual difference is ontological. That means it is fundamental to who we are. It is not just social. Being sexed is as basic as being mortal. Braidotti proposes a new tense for feminist thinking. She calls it the conditional present. We should speak as if sexual difference were real. We should act as if woman were a meaningful category. But we keep the as if, we do not turn it into a fixed truth. This is strategic essentialism. It is a tool for empowerment, not a claim about nature. Braidotti makes a crucial distinction. It is the distinction between woman and feminist. Woman is a patriarchal construction. It is the image of woman created by men. It is the eternal feminine. It is the other. This woman does not exist. It is a fantasy. Feminist is a political identity. It is chosen, not given. It is a subject who speaks for herself. The feminist is the one who says, I am not that. The task of feminism is to move from she-self to she-other. The she-self is the individual woman. The she-other is the community of women. You cannot become a feminist alone. You need other women. They are your witnesses and your legitimators. This is what Braidotti calls the female feminist subject. It is a collective project. It is about women bonding together. It is about creating a new symbolic system. The name for this bond is genealogy. A genealogy is a counter memory. It is a chain of women reaching back into the past. It reconnects us to our foremothers. It keeps alive the voices that have been silenced. Braidotti uses the work of Michel Foucault. Foucault analyzed what he called biopower. Biopower is the power over life itself. It is the control of bodies, populations, and reproduction. Braidotti looks at the new reproductive technologies. These are technologies like IVF, surrogate motherhood, and genetic screening. She also looks at the AIDS epidemic. These technologies create a strange situation. We can now have sex without babies, that is contraception. We can now have babies without sex, that is artificial insemination. At the same time, AIDS has been used to send a message: sex kills. So we have a paradox. We cannot reproduce without sex, just when non-reproductive sex is being called deadly. Braidotti calls this situation organs without bodies. Biomedicine breaks the body into pieces. It looks at organs, tissues, and cells. It treats these pieces as separate and detachable. A uterus is just a uterus. It can be moved from one body to another. It does not belong to anyone. This creates the fantasy of interchangeability. All organs are equal. Any uterus can serve any pregnancy. This is dangerous. It erases differences. It hides the racism of these practices. Wealthy women from the West use poor women from the South as a surrogate mothers. Biopower is about freezing time. The new reproductive technologies break the reproductive process into steps. Sperm is frozen, eggs are frozen, embryos are frozen, time is suspended. This is the dream of mastering life. It is also the denial of death. The fantasy of absolute control over the body is a fantasy of immortality. Visual technologies like ultrasound contribute to this. We can now see the inside of the womb. The invisible becomes visible. The interior becomes exterior. This is what Braidotti calls medical pornography. Pornography shows everything but reveals nothing. It stimulates desire without fulfilling it. The anti abortion movement uses ultrasound images. They give the fetus a voice. They call it the silent scream. This is not science, it is political propaganda. There is a historical time lag here. Just as women begin to speak, technology steps in to speak for them. Just as women begin to redefine motherhood, biotechnology redefines it from above. We risk moving from compulsory heterosexuality straight into high tech reproduction. We skip the most important stage, women becoming subjects in their own right. An important concept in Broidotti's work is the politics of location. This term comes from the poet Adrian Rich. It means being aware of where you speak from. It means accepting responsibility for your position. The politics of location has three levels. First, it means recognizing differences among women. Not all women are the same. A white woman and a black woman do not share the same history. We must be specific. Second, it means being accountable. Do not make universal claims. Do not speak for all women. Speak only from your experience. Then listen to others. Third, it means building coalitions. Coalitions are based on shared projects, not on sameness. We do not have to agree on everything. We only have to agree on what we are fighting for now. This is not relativism. Relativism says everything is relative, so nothing matters. Braidotti rejects this. She believes in situated, partial, accountable knowledge. You can make general claims, but you must show where you are standing. What is the foundation of nomadic ethics? It is the bond with the other. The self does not exist alone. The I is always in relation to a you. For feminists, the privileged other is the other woman. The feminist subject fastens on to the presence of other women. Other women witness your becoming. They legitimate your existence. This bond is the basis for accountability. You are responsible to other women. You must answer to them. The community of women is your judge. This is different from psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis focuses on the father. It is the law. It is the symbolic order. The feminist other is the mother. It is the bond. It is a shared body. Psychoanalysis is about accepting the laws of the mother. Feminism is about reclaiming the mother. Braidotti argues for transdisciplinary practice. Women's studies should not be a separate discipline. It should pass in between established disciplines. It should borrow from philosophy, literature, biology, and sociology. This is the bricolage. It means using whatever tools are available. It means being a conceptual pirate. Writing should also be nomadic. Braidotti mixes the theoretical with the poetic. She shifts voices. She includes personal anecdotes. She resists ugly, formal academic language. Beauty is not a weakness, it is a political choice. Braidotti ends her book with an image. It is Walter Benjamin's Angel of History. The angel looks backward. He sees the past as a pile of wreckage. He would like to stop and repair the damage. But a storm is blowing from paradise. It pushes the angel forward. The storm is called progress. Braidotti identifies with this angel. The nomadic feminist also looks backward. She keeps her eye on the wreckage of women's history. She remembers the pain, the exclusion, and the silencing. But she is also being blown forward. She cannot stop. She cannot repair everything. She can only work with what she has. She can only move backward into the future. Broidotti's book is difficult. It is full of complex ideas. Feminism should be joyful. It should be about laughter, creativity, and desire. It should not be a sad, dogmatic moralism. The early women's movement had a merry spirit. Broidotti wants to recover that. The nomadic subject is not a victim. She is not defined by oppression. She is defined by her capacity to move, to reconnect, and to transform. She is a relay team. She passes the baton. She keeps going. This is the difference between the nomad and the exile. The exile is stuck in the past. She mourns what was lost. The nomad is open to the future. She celebrates what is possible. So let us end where we began. The nomadic subject is a figuration. It is a myth and a political fiction. It is not a final answer. It is a tool for thinking. Use it, adapt it, change it, then pass it on. The journey is not over. The storm is still blowing. The angel is still flying. We are not new yet. We are still becoming. But we are, all of us, in our own ways, learning to be nomadic.